Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order of Tuesday, December 8th. On that note, Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with the first motion?
Require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Boyer. That the draft agenda presented to Council and dated the 8th day of December 2020 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? C'est bon. Accepting the minutes of the previous meetings.
Require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Lobby, seconded by Councillor Beckham. That the minutes of the special council meeting held November 24th, 2020, and the regular minutes of council meeting held November 24th, 2020 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you. Business arising from the minutes? None. We proceed to declarations of conflict of interest. None. We will proceed to chair's comments, and I do have actually a comment that I would like to make with your permission. I was reminded that we are celebrating a 2-year anniversary. We started our inauguration meeting. We're all looking at the screen. I will speak and then we will look at the screen just to, our inauguration meeting was held on December 11th, 2018. And you know what, it's like a time capsule. I was looking at, I had kept my notes on my old iPad. I don't know why, but I did. And so I would just like to revisit a few of the notes that I read that night because I thought it was actually interesting. The first comment that was made at that inauguration meeting is that come January, we had said the council is going paperless. We're going to be conducting, we said, all of our business on iPads. We were going to be receiving training, and we did that. And I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate council because we've done a really terrific job of immediately moving onto a electronic platform. And so, and with some encouragement from Councillor Logie. So thank you for that, Councillor Logie. So good. So certainly we've done that, so kudos to us. We had said at our meeting on December, at that December meeting, that we have been awarded one of the best jobs in East Paris, representing and serving the citizens of Baskerville and Corbeil over the next 4 years. And so, and we said that it's a very important responsibility to be entrusted with, to ensure that each taxpayer gets top value, to include the best thinking for each dollar they pay East Paris. And so I'd like to congratulate each and every one of us, members of council. I think everyone has been devoted to and has taken their responsibilities to heart. And so to all of you and to all of us, kudos. We are very fortunate to be accompanied on this journey, we had said at that point, by an incredible staff. We live that every day, and I think it's very important to recognize the great staff that we have in East Paris that is delivering on a daily basis top-level service to our municipality. We had said then that as part of our term, East Paris will mark its centennial anniversary. And in 2021, we had said the municipality will be turning 100 years old. And so that's actually in a month's time. And we had said then that such events are important to us. And we had talked about, I recall mentioning that in 1967, when our municipality celebrated its Canadian centennial, at that point is when we had opened a new municipal office here. It's when we had established Centennial Crescent. It's when we had added the Lake Wisconsin boat launch, and there were a few additions as well in that year. And so what should our municipality do to mark its centennial? We had said it is a discussion that we look forward to. And we've already done actually quite a bit. And in the next few weeks, with my co-chair, Councillor Tahan, we look forward to bringing forward more description of these plans. But certainly we have our book that's being launched. We have our special calendar. We have a new logo. We have a new website. And so good job to all concerned, because we certainly have been moving forward with that celebration. And so basically, we had also talked about that in the next few weeks we were going to meet and we were going to sort out our priorities and establish a strategic plan, which we did. And as we pointed out before, it's a very ambitious strategic plan. And I think as a council, we should all be very proud of the progress that we're making on that strategic plan. Is it perfect? No, but overall, we're making good progress, and so congratulations to all concerned. But certainly it makes you realize how 4 years goes by so quickly. We already have 2 years under our belt, and they say that in the last year, really, right, it's almost, it's a half a year truly. And so, again, I think it's going to be a busy year. 2021 will certainly be a busy year. And so I encourage everyone to rest over the holidays, as we'll be coming back with a full slate of, a full program of activities. And so on that note, there's a few slides. Kim Rose did a great job preparing for us a few photos to remind us of that inauguration meeting. And so if you don't mind turning around, check this.
Yeah, okay.
And so we'll just take a look and then we'll move on with our program.
Want me to just go through them?
Yes. So we had family members there. That photo is also in the book on Corbeil, our home, with the history of the municipality, by the way. So both Michelle and Terry, Councillor Plahan, Councillor Kelly, and Councillor Hoyt, you can look for that photo in the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
It was nice to see there's no Christmas tree this year. We're not.
No, we just said no Christmas tree, no
Yeah.
poinsettias.
Yes, no except for that.
Nobody's using the facility.
I know. So it's virtual tree.
Swing and the elf.
That's a good. They're all. I found the pictures are all very good, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's it all. Families, yes. Great. Okay, good. You go. Well done. So thank you very much for that. Those were chair's comments. Would anyone like to add anything under the chair's comments? Any additional comments? No? Yvonne? We'll proceed then with our agenda. The council, do you need to sign back in? We will proceed then to the committee reports. Public Works and Infrastructure, none for this. When is your next meeting?
Next meeting, December 17th.
And so then we come to Community Emergency Management Committee. I think, did you have a chance to go through the material? Basically, it's information material. The Appendix A is certainly very informative, and I don't know if that is being posted or has been posted yet to our website or Facebook page. This is advice for gathering over Christmas and New Year's, and so basically it's directives to families and of all kinds. It addresses basically pretty well every situation. If you choose to attend an in-person gathering, if you choose to attend a New Year's, travel, if you're going to receive travelers to your house, it's in Appendix A basically that you find all of the details. And so it provides advice. And because we're still in a green zone, I don't think it changed as of today. Basically for us, it's advice at this point. And so it's very good, and it should really be circulated to our citizens. That's why Frank put it and directed it to our attention, because it's truly very well done. It even talks about exchanging gifts over Christmas, how that should be handled, outdoor holiday events, parades, visiting with Santa and Mrs. Santa Claus. And so, as I say, it's very much oriented to celebrating Christmas and New Year in our communities and to individuals and families, I find. And so it is an excellent document to go through, to share with the people you know. And so unless there's questions, we will move on into the next document as well that Frank asked to share with council was one linked to workplace education and enforcement campaigns. This is basically saying that in the province of Ontario currently, so that's a second document. It wasn't attached to the document. He just provided a link to the document. And basically, it's because there's no campaign currently in our area, to our knowledge. This is basically here, the provincial government that is launching a series of education and enforcement campaigns to ensure that businesses across the province are taking the necessary steps to keep employees, consumers, and public safety. And they felt that's very important, especially at Christmas time when people are going into establishments. And so it's again an excellent document, and it should be posted on our Facebook page. But at this point, it's maybe not as specific to us as there's not necessarily enforcement campaigns, but nonetheless, we should be adhering to all our businesses should be adhering to provincial regulations. They say in there that basically they visited over 1,000 businesses. They had done over 1,000 visits, and basically they found all businesses to be in conformity. And so they were very delighted. That is included in the document that Frank has sent to us. And so, unless there's any specific questions, you're encouraged to read that at your leisure, and again to share it, and it will be posted to our public information sites. C'est bon. On that note, we proceed to fire and emergency services. None. Planning Advisory Committee, there was no meeting. Committee of Adjustment, no meeting. Recreation, Parks and Culture, Councillor Kelly.
Sure. And there, yeah, we had a meeting. Just bring it up, thank you. November 26th. We just basically asked the staff, Manager Tom Slack and Janet, his assistant, to go over what's going on as far as Parks and Rec goes. And right now, the comment made by the chair, all the world's upside down. Municipal staff's done an excellent job of keeping all the facilities accessible to the community and running as safely as possible during this time. In fact, as a little short as 3 weeks ago, they were still using the 10th courts at Asheville for pickleball because the weather was unseasonably warm and there were people there. I mean, on the weekends especially. We've got a meeting tomorrow at 1:30 for just the definitions of the volunteer recognition program policy referred to the next meeting and the parks bylaw. In any case, we looked at the COVID-19 pandemic, the safety measures in place. The safety plan was created along with protocol guidelines and waivers to be signed by all facility users. Documents are a guide for the safe operations of the community center in accordance with provincial guidelines. The update basically was the docks were taken out Thanksgiving weekend. Hall and meeting room rentals severely reduced because of restrictions. Actually, I know it's loss of revenue, but with all the protocols in place, as soon as someone goes upstairs, everything has to be sanitized from one end to the other, including the railings. Like it's just onerous. Precautions, but it's better than the alternative. At least we could open. Bottom line, confirmed winter carnival has been canceled this year. As I mentioned, pickleball tennis courts have been in place until the weather changed. Registrations are basically at 83% compared to last year. And we picked up a couple of teams from North Bay that had trouble getting ice because of, they're short in the arena with a couple of pads. So we're doing well considering what's going on. That was basically it. It's a day-to-day. If anything, if we had an outbreak, it was severe. We're ready to close down at a moment's notice. I just had a personal friend who's an ice maker at the Oakville Curling Club, which is a high-end club. They're pulling their ice out because of lack of use, and they're in a red zone. They got red zones all around.
Oh, yeah.
So I think by the end of December, they'll be done because there's no users. So it could happen, then it could change in a heartbeat. fact, talking to a relative today, down Pembroke Way, they have a community outbreak of like 25 people. And just, they have small groups there, and you just don't know. And we're as strong as our weakest link, so. Right now, the staff have done incredibly well, and they're busy. But give me an example, as I say, some goes upstairs, everything has to be sanitized. The dressing room gets used, everything has to get wiped out. And I mean, it's just the way it is. And hopefully this vaccine,
Yes.
oh my God, well, the 3 or 4 of them. Because one of the restrictions are they've got to have a deep freeze down to -8. So you have to have facilities to take care of the vaccines. Anyway, that's basically it. I will give you an update at the next council meeting concerning the meeting tomorrow.
Perfect.
It's just about the criteria for the differentiation between the builders and the athletic achievements, whether it's short-term or long-term. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Okay, we move on to Economic Development Committee.
We have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock,
Yes, okay.
virtual meeting.
So it's not on December 16th?
Sorry, it is December 16th, yes.
Okay.
My apologies.
No, it's okay.
December 16th.
I know it goes by quickly, December.
I'm looking at my calendar. So, December 16th.
Communications Committee, Councilor Locke, when is that one scheduled?
It was usually the third Monday of the month.
Yes,
We have nothing.
yes.
Oh, so we'll work,
We have to work that out. We postponed the last month, and we have yet to assess whether we will be meeting this month.
These Fair Centennial Celebration Committee, I'd like to apologize to Councillor Fan because the minutes reflect the chair and not the fact that there's 2 co-chairs.
Oh,
Councillor Fan and I. So I'm just conscious of that, just so you know. We do things together on this committee, and we had an excellent meeting last time. It was really a great meeting, and we're so excited to be able to share some of the results. But so far, we're still in the planning stages. But any comments, specific comments that you'd like to make, Councillor Fan?
Well, it was like you said, it was a good meeting. It was, I'm really fortunate. We're fortunate, and then kind of like to see the calendar. I think there's some really good work done on the calendar, and kind of anticipating to see how that goes. Also to everybody and to the residents, we're coming up with some really good ideas. We're coming up with maybe an e-store. We're also coming up with maybe another store. We're going to sell some swag. There's going to be some people volunteering for that. So all I can just say is it's in the planning stages, so we're still trying to plan that out. And if we could come together on it, and I think it might be a really good idea. And some people might go look it up and get some hoodies, sweaters, or some other stuff that we're planning to promote for this attendance.
Municipal office project, I think we're still trying to set up a date for next week.
I'm trying for the 16th.
But Councillor Kelly indicated today that he's not available on the 16th.
I've got DSAP,
Okay.
and I've got a meeting that starts at 11, and another meeting starts at noon. And
Okay.
it goes to about, I'm gonna say 2:30. So after that, I'd be available. Okay, I meant to clarify that tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so later afternoon,
Okay. And while we're here, though, could we check 2 options and not put an option if it doesn't work for everyone, because we have to verify with other parties as well. If ever we had to make it instead of the Centennial on the Tuesday at 3 on the 15th, because you were available, everyone was available on the 15th in the morning, but if it was in the afternoon, would that work as well?
On the 16th?
No, the 15th.
Then cancel the Centennial.
If we had
You
to
gotta
switch
cancel.
things around to make it So we have the Centennial at 3 right now on the Tuesday. I just want to give options to Monica. She needs to communicate with a lot of people, or Monica.
We just had one, I just had one meeting at 3 o'clock.
So that
That's
she
the
would switch it
Centennial.
around.
We would switch the Centennial to another date where it convenes you.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because you're coming off of a midnight shift.
Yeah,
So you couldn't, you said there's a good possibility you couldn't attend at 10 o'clock because it's too much.
yeah, it just, sometimes I don't get off,
Great.
it's the time I'm supposed to get off, and then sometimes it's just too tough.
Because it was 3 o'clock, if by chance she had to
Sure.
switch. So it gives Madam Clerk options as she tries. So Councillor Long, Councillor Boyer, are you okay with either the 16th later afternoon or the 15th by around 3 o'clock? Would you have any problems?
3 o'clock.
Yeah, okay. Either
Three
three.
works.
What's the day on the 15th?
December the 15th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so she'll confirm with all of us and,
I'll confirm
okay, so maybe check.
Okay, I'll check with you.
confirm it, yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So we move now to board reports, library board. The minutes of the meeting are held. Oh, it's a special meeting, okay.
Yeah, it was a special meeting to accept the financial statements for year end December 31st, 2019.
Right.
So not much to report because it was very similar in nature to the years prior. Jennifer does a really good job of staying the course, and so yeah, it wasn't eventful in that sense. Yeah, it was good.
Police Services Board, we do meet on Thursday of this week with our consultant that you urged us to retain, so we're very delighted with that. We move on to departmental reports, and we do have a report, Plan 2020-08, by our Manager of Planning and Economic Development. Mr. Curtin, did you want to provide comments on this?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This report's a follow-up from the presentation that we had at the last council meeting on November 24th from Lance and Alexander Johnson, the owners of Rural Resources in North Bay. So I'll just quickly summarize since their presentation will still be fresh in everyone's mind. We are the lands that we have that they're interested in on Eglinton Road North on the boundary of the Calgary border. We still haven't heard back from about the results of our grant applications with NORN and MHFC. It was a two-phase process. We're well past the second phase, and I've been told by both agencies that we're awaiting decision in the very near future. I've also been told that it wouldn't negatively affect our applications in any way to go forward with the process of potentially severing land in order to allow the Johnsons to purchase it to move their business. So my recommendation is that we initiate the planning process as required to make this happen. This would require all of these things coming back to council in January, including negotiations for the land sale price and all the logistics surrounding that. So if we initiate the process, then at least we can, get a head start on this. And then if we get the results of our applications from NORN and MHMC, then we won't lose an extra month, waiting to move on it afterwards. With regards to the zoning and official plan amendments that would be required, these would be exercises that we would have to do anyways upon receiving approval, hopefully, of our applications. So by going ahead and doing these processes, which would be municipally led, by going ahead and doing them now, then we're just getting a head start on processes that we would be undertaking anyways. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about my report.
Are there any questions? Just one question.
Yes.
It runs the length of the road. I should have asked today, I apologize. I only saw the diagram this evening. It runs the length of the road, correct? The Calgary Road? Or
No.
So the property borders right on the East Paris calendar border. There is property on the calendar side between the property and Calendar Bay Drive. However, there are a number of different road allowances that we can gain access through from Calendar Bay Drive. There's about 4 or 5 different locations where you can get access to Calendar Bay Drive. We also have frontage along Eglinton Road North. So we don't know exactly what the land requirements for the Johnsons are yet for their business. So part of the process would be going through that exercise with them, delineating how much area they need and, and outlining all that, and that'll all come back afterwards as well.
So longer term, we would not, segment of the land, access from Calendar Drive would not be limited by this particular parcel in
So we would
needed to them.
need to approach Calendar with regards to getting an access permit from them, the same way we do entrance permits for new developments. However, my thoughts were when we go through the planning process for this initial piece to facilitate their business, we should also consider access for the whole site. So
Yes, okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
so my view would be to set up something like reciprocal access easements so that in the future, although individual parcels may be separately owned, it would function as an entire site.
Okay.
So something to that effect.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do we need, you have a
I have a
resolution?
resolution based on the recommendation. I require a mover and a seconder. For Councillor Lougheed and Councillor Boyer. The Council of the Municipality of East Paris accepts the recommendation from the Manager of Planning and Economic Development contained in report number Planning and Economic Development initiate the required planning processes to establish the desired commercial and industrial uses on our municipally owned land. And further, that municipal staff work with Lance and Alexandra Johnson to determine the land's need of rural resources, leading to lands made by the Johnsons.
In favor? Very good, very good, yes. Okay. Ministry of Comments, sorry. All done, Melissa. Bylaws, none. Correspondence and information. Correspondence and information. Deputy Mayor Boyer, anything to comment on?
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, c'est bon, thank you so much. Councillor Clam.
Number D, the region appeal, where they've put out their requesting for property exemptions for veterans clubs. I'd like to support that. I'm not sure, I don't think we have anything in ours, but I'd still like to support that.
Sure.
Look forward on that.
100%.
100%, yes.
And also, so letters sent to the Concord Land thing, so support the letters from Jill and Linda. Back here. So Linda's, or sort of correction, Jill's letter at her recommendation, she strongly requests that the parcel 302B be removed from the Algonquin Land thing before its final submission for a valid specific reasons. So she goes on with a really detailed letter and support for those people also. So I think there's some things on there that we could do and probably negotiate or even speak with the Algonquin later on, but also support our people to their request.
Do we want to engage in a brief discussion on this now?
I would hold and wait for
Okay.
a little bit until we get more information direction. So that's my personal opinion with everybody. I'd just wait. But on the other hand, too, we got to support our.
So that's the question, but I do believe our CEO has, to your point, he is reaching out for information. So he'll get back direction this evening, or are you comfortable with the comment that we wait as a next step?
I knew Mayor and Council what my next step was, but if you want me to just hold off, then
So tell us what your next step up is, and so at this point, you're in the
Yeah.
background exploring what should be
yeah,
next
so
step.
what happened, we had a response from a woman from the Ministry of MNRF, basically. So what we were gonna do is reach out just to facilitate a session with our residents in MNR. If we could do it in person, great, but it was more because we had received concerns really only about 302B. But since this letter's been submitted, we've now got concerns about the F1 and the F2, so I believe it was 80, I've collected the letter, but 83 F1, 83 F2. So I think what happens then is if I bring somebody from the MNR here, we're too much of a big gathering at that point. So I was looking to possibly set up a Zoom meeting where really what our I guess, responsibility being part of it is just to facilitate the two groups coming together to have a conversation. And just see if any of their concerns can be alleviated. So that's where I was at with that right now. But what I want to do is talk to Chief Bassi first as well. I'd like to have him on the call.
Any comments, additional comments?
No. No, it's just, it's been ongoing for 12, 14 years.
Yeah.
Now, and in fact, Chief Bastian actually walked that property at one time as well as myself, and a few other people, and it's not developable. That's just my opinion, and I've had some professional opinions about it. It's rugged land, and, you know, it's just, and at one time they were gonna, the Fountain Land thing, we're gonna just leave it alone, and then it keeps changing. And I feel sorry for all the individuals involved, because no one can't get a straight answer. And that's frustrating.
And that's what they're asking.
It is.
They're asking me for.
That's what Mr. Horton was on about previously. We made a delegation, so it's the same parcel.
So that's but basically the steps that are being taken, so
Mhm.
everyone is comfortable with that. It's to engage in, encourage dialogue and understanding.
That's all I have for.
Okay. So we will be bringing back the, was it Region Appeal? Councillor Kelly.
I would like a little bit of conservation authority. Can you clarify what's going on? with this?
Capacity, this is the economic recovery,
Okay.
probably the actual name is the bill, there was it is the act now to protect, support, and recover from COVID. And so it had many elements in there, of which the Conservation Authority was one. It's unfortunate, my impressions are in our area, we have a wonderful Conservation Authority, and it has worked well with developers. It's been a very harmonious relationship. If my impressions are, those are my own comments. But certainly, I believe in the province, and I mean, it is written in articles, and it was part of the reasons for the action. There was a sense that the conservation authorities had overstepped some of their mandate, and so so in other parts of our province, it wasn't as harmonious, and it was difficult for development. So it is driven to some extent by development. So some of the changes that I don't think they're significant, but I do believe there will be an impact on maybe this role of staff, and that's not clear yet. What would be assumed by responsive budget by municipalities? I believe that me as a mayor, I am no longer eligible to be a member of our community on the Conservation Authority. So on that, I wasn't sure, but that formed part of what I depend on what was passed today. The other element, certainly items like themselves being able to appeal decisions at LPAC, that has been removed. And so, and in addition, it's given a greater role as well to at the government level to maybe overturn decisions. And I think that was certainly an element of concern for conservation authorities that wanted to enable the local planning process. And I'm certainly not the ideal person to describe everything as part of it, but in a summary, that's what my take was.
Okay.
And as I said, I only have good things to say about our local conservation authority. They're wonderful people. They do wonderful work. And so.
And they've been good to work with, I find.
Oh,
Well, very good work. The other thing too that may be an impact from a other parts of the province, the fees were municipal levies were growing, and so it was felt that they were unreasonable. So there could be a financial impact for us in terms of maybe a reduction in our levy to the Conservation Authority, but I don't know. I never, I have not been in a position to compare our levies out of, maybe they are reasonable compared to other parts of the province. So that was something else that was mentioned as well. I don't know, Mr. CEO and Mr. Planner, if you have additional comments that you want to make or on that? And that if you don't have to.
I don't, Mayor and Council, have anything to add.
So we'll read about it tonight. You listen to the
Okay.
news, okay?
Sure.
In the past, just today.
The other thing I had was, I want to bring up Roma and Ogra and Phenom. They're all going virtual with their conferences. And I think they deserve support, but to ask anyone to sit for 2 or 3 days at a desk and just, so what I was wondering is if our CAO approached the 3 organizations and said, could we sign up as a council, knowing that maybe Councilor Trahan takes a morning, the mayor takes an afternoon, I take a morning, Mike or Erica take part of an afternoon, just break it up. So that, yeah, we're gonna sit there for seminars for 2 or 3 hours,
Yes.
and then you can sit for 2, might break it up for them, but it would still be revenue, because what's happening is Phenom, Ogra, and Roma depend on these conferences to keep, and they're basically our voice in various ways at government, at the Toronto legislature. You have to have a voice, and you've got to be recognized. So these are recognizable, and they've done a lot of good. So I'd like to support them, but I don't want to, seriously, I don't think most of us, any of us want to sit down for 2 or 3 days just sitting, staring at this for 5 or 6 hours.
I was gonna say, I was waiting to see the agenda, and then I was gonna say, you know what, I'll sign up for this.
That's what I'm thinking,
And then
Steve.
everybody else will, you know what I mean, everybody take their turn on signing up for different things.
But rather than having to sign the 5 of us up en masse and the CAO at full price, why don't we see, hey, let's make a deal?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you do it.
Okay,
On the prices, I didn't, pardon me, and verify, do they adjust the price of the conferences if they're electronic?
They are adjusting them, but it's still pretty expensive.
that's what I'm thinking. If we posted as a council and said, you know what, we want, we just want 1 ticket, and we'll share the ticket over the 3-day period.
And one way to look at it too is if we put one, say, communicable computer here, so that we can come and go.
Yeah,
I mean, so that,
exactly, sure.
so that we can, if I'm gonna be here for a couple hours, then I'll come here, sit in for a couple hours.
And they'll leave the plug in, don't have to be jammed up. Exactly. I know, and I got that from, actually, phenomenally, Mac Payne and I were in North Bay, in the offices upstairs in North Bay's legislature, the municipal office. And we attended one of the conferences, virtual, on a big screen.
Oh, yes, okay.
So I know it can be done.
Yes, that's even more interesting.
So,
It's not easy to sit. I mean, I've done now a couple, and the other problem too is their programming is not good the whole day. Like I found, personally, I have found that to fill in, because it's like this, they have good programming in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it's like
a little soft.
it's not as robust.
No, anyway, just a thought.
Yes, it's excellent.
But I think it with Oklahoma and AMO, because they are important conferences, they're important. The organizations in FAM are important to small municipalities.
Absolutely.
So, just a thought, okay. Good. You can look at that, please. Sure. Thank you, that's good. That's basically all I have. Thank you. Oh, one thing, Minister of Finance, they said something about the young funding for 21.
Yes, so Mayor and Council, at the prior meeting, we had brought what our allocation was gonna be.
Right.
Then afterwards, we always received the booklets on how they calculated it.
Right.
So because we had brought forward the allocation, I thought we'd bring forward the workbooks.
Super.
For anybody that was interested to learn or see how they calculate some of the credits. And, so,
We did well.
we have an increase.
Well, then we did well.
Yes,
I talked to municipalities that had a decrease.
that's correct.
We did okay.
Yes, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
The guarantee is 90% of prior year minimum. And the fact that we have an increase is a good sign.
It is. Thank you very much.
Councillor Lonnie.
Most of the things that I wanted to address have been addressed. Just keep us posted if there's any further way we can support conservation authorities press. Because I know that after that bill passed today, they might have
Yes.
further things they might want to do. So,
Precisely.
in the spirit of the work they do and supporting them, just keep us posted if there's anything that we can do as a council to help them out. No, and other than that, everything else has been addressed. Thank you.
C'est bon, exactement, that's a good point to make, Councillor, that's what they communicated today. So, that's it. Just on Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Ontario Rebuilding Recovery Initiative, they're asking us if we have any feedback, and it's due on December 18th, and it's more to do with roads and infrastructure development. And I thought maybe that's something we could, Mr. CEO, yourself, you might want to pass on to our engineer.
Sure.
Because I think it's more so specific to his work. And so it would be important, I think, especially with his role with OGRA, I think he's well placed to identify barriers or areas of improvement. So this is basically for, yeah.
Sure.
That would be all right. And just, if he does make any recommendations, if you maybe just inform us, to keep us informed of what he is focusing on, it would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we move on now to action items, approval of correspondence.
Okay, I require a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Centennial. That council acknowledge the correspondence and information as circulated with the agenda and dated the 8th day of December 2020.
Favor? Oh, thank you. We move on now to resolution, which is the approval of council statement on remuneration and expenses. And so, Steve?
Moved by Councillor Centennial, seconded by Councillor Kelly. Whereas Section 284 of the Municipal Act 2001 SO Chapter 25 as amended requires that the treasurer of the municipality shall in each year on or before March 31st provide the council of the municipality an itemized statement on the remuneration and expenses paid in the previous year. Be it hereby resolved, the council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the 2019 statement of remuneration and expenses itemized for each member of council and member of local boards and committees and such as submitted.
Any questions before we proceed or comments? All in favor? Well, thank you. Move on to approval of accounts payable.
Moved by Councillor Centennial, seconded by Councillor White. That council approve the general accounts for the municipality of East Ferris as indicated in the check registers dated December 8, 2020 in the amount of $383,741.94.
Favor? Well, thank you. Other business? None. We are proceeding in camera.
Okay.
Just a moment. Thank you, Mr. Burton.
Thanks. Everyone.
That's according to, just in case I don't know.
Got your parka on, eh?
Is that?
Got your parka on.
Yeah, this will be warmer.